In 2002, LEGO would release what would arguably become one of the most important pieces to the entire Technic line, the black friction pin axle. However, this was unfortunately replaced quickly, within a year, with blue pin axles instead. It's understandable why LEGO did this. It was very easy to mix these parts up when building with maybe two length axles of the standard kind. But it's a problem because in today's day and age, LEGO is willing to have on the market at the same time both red and black two-length axles. In fact, all even length axles, as odd axles tend to have light bluish gray and yellow variants available. The stud pins, both friction and frictionless, each have at least two colors out right now. So it makes me wonder, why has black pin axles not made a return? And is it time? Make the argument that it is. Currently, LEGO has the 18 plus line, or icons line, if you want to call it that. Some of these sets have a bit of overlap, and my belief is that these sets, though not all of them, should feature the black friction pin. How exactly do you do this, though? Well, these sets, for one thing, are geared towards adults, and adults oftentimes, though not always, have more experience with LEGO sets. More experience usually means more knowledge about the parts that you've experienced, right? You're less likely to get them mixed up at first glance. Of course, including pieces like this in a separate bag from your two-length axles can also help to separate them further, but that shouldn't even be necessary. No, my thought is that when a set features a small amount of two-length axles, but a large amount of friction pins, maybe make those two-length axles in that set red, or black. You can keep the color, of course, while making the friction pins in that set black, so as not to easily get them confused. One of the issues that I have with this piece specifically right now is that, unfortunately, it is one of those pieces that has been price gouged. Now, it does make sense. It's a relatively rare piece from over 20 years ago at this point. If you want one from LEGO, you have to go looking for it. So it is difficult to find them, though I don't believe a piece of plastic this small should be $1 when it did come in every set, just about, from 2002. That said, though, there are other options available right now. They're not LEGO, but they do work, and it makes me wonder, again, why hasn't LEGO capitalized on this? Yes, there is a market that they'd be crushing out there, I guess, but at the same time, no one out there is collecting those black pins. At least they shouldn't be. It's not the type of item that should be a stock, you know? No, it is, in a way, a type of gatekeeping for certain people that like specific color schemes. And LEGO can very easily open that gate. In fact, I think it's kind of appropriate for them to do so. Now, that's not to say that they need to do it today by any means, because A, they've already developed the sets that are on shelves and continue to do so for the waves coming in the future. But we have to understand that when each or nearly each of the other types of pins and axles can come with a neutral variant, that's something that LEGO should invest in further. And in fact, I would say there should even be some backwards compatibility to this. At some point in 2008 or 2009, LEGO had replaced the 3-length friction pins with blue and tan variants to match these counterparts. Which is strange, because then are you kind of not defeating the same purpose? Yes, they're 3 in length and not 2 in length, but at the same time, it can still relatively easily be confused with its previous pieces. Only for LEGO to then later give us black 3-length friction pin axles. So what's going on here? How do they make these choices? No, my thought is that you should be able to own both at any given time. LEGO on the market right now should have neutral variants, and by neutral I mean black, light bluish gray, dark bluish gray variants, or white, I guess, as well, of each of these types of pieces. Not all of them. I'm not arguing that a friction pin needs to come in light bluish gray. The colors can still be appropriately attuned to whether they have friction or not, but save the blue and black for those friction pins, the light bluish gray and the tan for the frictionless pins, and go from there. And then expand this idea to other pieces as well. It really affords us a lot, in my opinion, both as someone who plays around with and builds with Lego Technic. Even though I do have to sift through a lot of boxes to find my pieces, I am often able to come across these pieces relatively easily when I do so, and identify them pretty quickly. It does take some skill to do it. Maybe that's just the way my brain works. We're not all the same, but at the end of the day, these pieces are important for a reason. And there are a lot of people that seek them out for a reason. I am not the type of person to argue that blue pins ruin a color scheme by any means, but when you have the option to go back and change them, I often see myself doing so. Sometimes I don't bother just because it's not worth the time to invest in a set, but when I go and build my own MOCs, large or small, I often dig around as much as possible to find all of the black pins that I can to put in a set first before going into blue or tan, whatever is needed. Part of the reason for that, of course, is because what I design tends to be classically inspired, and so often it makes sense just to use those pieces from the classic era. What do you define that as? That's up to you, of course. But if Lego is willing to branch out in other pieces, this is the one where they're not, and I don't understand it. Reasonably recently, Lego was willing to make the frictionless pin axle in pearl dark gray, specifically for the Batman Cave set. I don't know if that's the name of it, by the way, so I do apologize. But they did so to, I guess, make it something that didn't stand out quite so much from the rest of the set, other than being tan. And that makes sense to me, but that is also an 18 plus set, so why could they not do the same for friction pins as well? I've not built that set, I don't have experience with it, so I don't know where that piece is within the set, but it's still interesting to see, and it just makes me wonder, is there going to be some time in the future where Lego is finally willing to do this? Or are we just going to see blue friction pin axles indefinitely? I think even 1 or 2 sets on the market right now, if people got wind of those sets having those black pin axles, the sales would go up. Maybe not a lot, but someone would buy them for those axles. And that's crazy to think about. The set that comes with the most of these is the Exotoa set from Bionicle back in 2002, which I don't remember how many it has, but it does have a lot. And so oftentimes when I am sifting through parts lots, whether they are online or I go to some kind of second party Lego reseller store, I often look for those parts. Not because I need more Exotoa sets, I'm not somebody who's trying to complete a collection of them, but because there's a lot of these pin axles in there. And when each one sells for like $1 on Bricklink, I'd rather not spend that money there if I can buy something that is by weight or, again, just in a lot that someone is selling online. So whether I need the other pieces or not, just finding myself going out of the way for these parts specifically is good. And it's one of the reasons why I think Lego could even benefit, and this is something that they used to do, from Technic accessory packs. In the mid-2000s and possibly earlier than that, Lego used to actually sell these packs of gears or axles or pins or connectors or this or that. And though I don't know how well they would have sold back then, with less people, of course, having the internet, today, if you had those just always available on Lego's website to buy at any time, I think that would be pretty cool. Not only because it allows you to, oh, I'm one short of this piece that I need for a creation, let me just go pick it up from Lego really quick, but also, I think it could work. It's accessible, and my thought is making it as convenient as possible. Now, I can't speak to the logistics of this stuff, but Lego does, send a lot of its own product to Lego stores. And there are a lot of people, though not everybody, that lives near or close at least to a Lego store. I do believe every state, at the very least in the US, has a Lego store. I could be wrong on that. Do not quote me. But suffice to say, one option, of course, would be for you to actually be able to place an order online, but rather than have it shipped to you, have it shipped to your local Lego store at their convenience, of course, not yours, for free or a very minimal price. Or if that's not a possibility, then allow you to pick a time and a date to pick it up at your expense. Or if you want the item shipped to you directly, then of course you can pay for it, get it through the mail like any other Lego order. I think that is all kind of nice, to be honest. Then you could also think of places like Toys R Us or other dedicated stores, and of course Lego stores as well. Pick up brick walls, whatever the case, have these available there so that someone who comes in can just plop them off a wall. And something like this doesn't need to be expensive, doesn't need to hide behind any sort of wallet or price wall. I'm just going to keep the analogy of the wall here for a minute. Rather, I think it's almost something that Lego, not that they should take a loss on it, but shouldn't seek to profit from, rather should put out there as sort of fan service. Now, obviously, as the packages get larger, include more pieces or more specialized parts, then of course you can drive those parts prices up. But common pieces like axles, pins, those should be cheap. With that said, though, that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover with today's video. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It does really help out the channel. And of course, as always, you can join the conversation in the comments or check out the Discord, Instagram, or Patreon for support channel and gets perks all in the description below. And make sure you're subscribed if I didn't say that already. And I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.